The starting recording?
Yeah.
All right. Whenever it says when it's going, you start.
Hello and welcome to Season 3, Episode 12 of the Raider Power Podcast. I'm Evan, and with me today is Chris. Chris, how you doing today?
I'm still a little mad, to be honest. Yeah. A
Yeah,
little
you can
mad.
hear it in my tone. It wasn't a very joyous opening of the podcast. We don't have Ryan with us today. Couldn't sync up our schedules, but we thought we should hop on and cover the recent events that have transpired because there's been quite a bit.
Yeah, man. It's been too much.
So let's start with this, Chris. Let's talk about the tournament.
Mm.
We played a good game against Utah State, took care of business there, fell short to a good Arkansas team.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. Do you really want to cover much of the tournament? Because I feel like really what's on my mind, what's on your mind, and what's on every Texas Tech basketball fan's mind is what are we going to do moving forward and what it's going to look like.
I want to talk a couple things from the tournament. Congrats to Baylor. They played, like we've been saying for the last, I don't know how many weeks. If Baylor comes out and shoots well and plays lockdown D, there's not going to be a team in the country that can beat them. So congrats to Baylor.
And you called that when they beat us. You said if they play like that, they're national champions.
Yeah.
No doubt.
I had some good calls in March Madness. Oral Roberts being one of them.
Yeah.
That, and then I just want to say, congrats to Abilene Christian taking down UT first round. We also called that one on the podcast. We thought that was going to be an upset alert game. Now, did that upset that we call, did it bite us in the ass? Because is that how everything started rolling, or was this planned way before this? That's something I guess we can talk about.
Well, let's just roll straight into the elephant in the room. Chris Beard, worst case scenario
Snake
in every Tech fan's mind. Literally nightmare. Chris Beard leaving, not only leaving interconference, but leaving to our rival. Something that I never thought would happen. I'm not naive. I knew Chris Beard wasn't going to be here forever. I knew that. I mean, he's human. If a better opportunity opens up, you got to at least look at it. But never in my wildest dreams would I have considered that he would leave Lubbock, Texas, to be the head coach in Austin. I was absolutely shocked by the news.
I honestly
the longer the rumors went on, though, the more I was like, okay, he's gone. But when the first rumors came out, I was like, there's no way.
Yeah. As soon as he as soon as he didn't say anything for several days is pretty much when I knew that in all likelihood he's gone. Now, the way that he left, I think, was awful. I think him leaving in the way that he did is right up there with Tommy Tuberville for ditching the program. I mean, I know that Tommy Tuberville famously or infamously left in the middle of a board meeting or some kind of conference. He just got up and left the room and never came back. But Chris Beard, I mean, there was no even inkling that he was going to leave. There was nothing wrong with the program. He had full support of everyone at the school. Kirby support. They support him so much. I mean, they even put a mural of his face on the Wobble facility that he was pushing to get done. And he left for Texas. In a surprising move, because it's not like in the current state prior to him leaving, it's not like he was leaving for a better program. It's crazy to think about it. And he left for a pay cut, so he's actually taking less of a salary. And everything that he said, I mean, this guy is the greatest salesman of all time. I mean, he made it sound like he was going to be a lifer at Tech, or he was going to go take a job in the NBA eventually. That was my thoughts.
Yeah, so I have
he played the fan base, he played the school, he played the whole community, man. I mean,
I have two major problems. There's many others, but my two biggest problems is where he went to and how he did it.
Yeah.
And so if I can elaborate on that for a minute.
Yeah, hop in.
So
dive in there.
Chris Beard went against everything he has ever preached at Texas
Yep.
Tech. The street dog mentality, the culture, the loyalty, the buy-in, the staying in the fight. Everything that he preached to his players, to the fan base, to the university, to anyone that supported them, he completely turned his back on that. In fact, he did a complete 180. He's heading down to Austin to the 40-acre country club. He's going down where they're not known for the street dog fight, right? They're not, and he just completely went against everything that he had shown why we loved him. Why did we fall in love with Chris Beard? Because the way that he communicated with his players, the fan base, everybody, he seemed like the real deal. It was like, okay, this guy's a leader. This guy will take a bullet for his team in a proverbial sense, but it just baffled me the way that he did it. So that's part one is leaving interconference, leaving to a rival. He's no fool. He knows what this does to the Tech community.
Oh,
I mean everyone is just distraught. I mean, it was like it was the worst, and I mean this truly. It is the worst case scenario that I could have ever imagined happening with Chris Beard. Truly.
Yeah.
So where he goes is problem number one because of all of the aforementioned things. Number two, how he did it. A lot of weird things going on in that week whenever we're waiting to hear something. And then Kirby in his press conference comes and sheds a little bit of light on that in the most professional way he can. Yeah. By the way, I would like to say from my point of view, I am 100% behind Kirby. Always have been. Too. I think Kirby is the best thing that's ever happened to Texas Tech sports. I think the people that are calling for Kirby's heads, quite honestly, are morons in my opinion.
Why are they calling for him?
Well, you just see on social media and other places, people saying that Kirby's, get Kirby out of Lubbock. He let Beard walk, blah blah blah. Well, because Beard left, and they think that if Kirby was doing his job, he would have kept him.
Oh no.
So how Beard left? Beard did not give Texas Tech an opportunity to even counter Texas' offer, which we didn't even know what it was. And you already mentioned that he's taken a pay cut to go to Texas. He announces day of. He calls, and this is some information that I believe is public, but he called Mark Adams that morning and the message was, "We leave for Austin at 3:00. I expect you to be on the plane." That's how he communicated to his assistant coaching staff. And we'll talk about Mark Adams in a minute and part of why I love Mark Adams. But the way he communicated to his team, being his coaching staff, you got to imagine it was the same way with his players. And then the way that he treated the Texas Tech community was just absolutely unforgivable. As a person, I wish him health and happiness, but from a competitive standpoint, I hope he utterly fails.
Yeah.
And because that was an unforgivable sin, in my opinion. And so there's a lot of factors as to why this one really stings.
And that is public information because Mark Adams has said that a couple times. He said that, he called him and said, "We're going." And he said no. He said also, from what I've seen, is that Chris Beard told Adams, "There's no chance they give you the head coaching job." They said that to him as well. I don't know.
I mean, but it hurts, right? Because I won't pretend that I wasn't what I'm trying to say is I was the biggest Beard supporter, just as big as anybody. I'm not going to say oh man, I always knew there was something off with Beard. That wasn't the case. That's why this hurt so bad, is because I was he was the guy. He was the guy in my mind. He was the guy in everyone's mind. And so this was like you said, he fooled everyone. No one in their right mind would have seen this coming,
To think that was his dream job. I mean, I don't know. It's crazy. And the fact that he has been preaching building this program over and over and over again. He built it. He got us to the national championship game. It's been built. It's built. We were at the pinnacle of basketball, college basketball. We were right there.
Yeah.
And for him to leave something that's going so well, I thought, okay, Texas might have offered him the most ridiculous offer possible. He could be the highest paid coach in college. I mean, what is he? He was the fourth highest paid or fifth highest paid head coach in college basketball with Tech.
Yep.
And then I find out that Tech's been, and this is credit to Kirby, because Kirby was trying to give him a lifetime contract early. I think they were starting this like in November. Trying to give him a lifetime contract. He said no, 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 and then to find out that he took a pay cut to go to Texas is crazy. But I will say, one thing about Mark Adams that I love is that he's taking a huge pay cut, and only taking $2 million a year for how many 5 years, so he can get better assistants.
Yeah, I want to move on to Mark, but one other thing I want to talk about Beard, and you may call me crazy, but I'm not so sure that this wasn't a premeditated move.
Oh, me either.
And here's the reasons why. The biggest in my mind. Number one is the lifetime rolling contract.
Yeah.
And when we talk about that, it's not you're locked in for 15 years without any ability to renegotiate. It was stipulated that every 3 years you could renegotiate the terms.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you'd be a moron to turn that down unless you had an idea in your mind that you were probably leaving. That's number one. Number two, and read into this what you will, I think that it makes sense now thinking about it. Chris Beard's fiance, soon-to-be wife, retired from her coaching job back in September. Back in December. And people were saying, oh, what does this mean? Is there any reason to be worried? And everyone, correctly at the time was saying, no, that's ridiculous. But that makes a lot more sense when you think about that this could be a premeditated move. The third is that Chris Beard and Shaka Smart share the same agent. Mm. And the way that Shaka Smart left Texas, he was not fired. I do think he was pushed out, but he landed a job at a pretty dang good school immediately.
Yeah.
There's no way in my mind that they lose that tournament game and they say, hey, Shaka, you're going to be out. And then he just lands the Marquette job. I think personally that Shaka had been contemplating leaving UT because he was tired of the every year, sink or swim type deal, and that he might be fired. Is this year that he's fired? I think he was tired of dealing with the boosters. I think he was tired of dealing with all of the BS, So I think that Shaka wanted to leave. And if that information was made known to Beard could have been eyeing this Texas job for the past year, And so those, and there's other factors too, but it's like all of these things that I kind of dismissed as like, no, that doesn't mean anything. All are kind of coming together and make a lot more sense now.
Let's not forget also that Chris Beard did take the job at UNLV for 1 day and then left after his intro speech. I mean, he just used us as a stepping stone for this Texas role.
Yeah.
I totally believe that. I mean, the guy stays at a program for, the longest he's ever stayed was with Tech. And I don't know, man.
Now,
I don't know. I hope he fails miserably. I hope Texas. I don't know how they are, because he is a dang good coach. It's going to be interesting to see how he operates without, the brains of Mark Adams.
Yeah.
Behind him.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. You can guarantee that you will catch me at the UT game next year when they come to Lubbock, as I'm sure you'll be there as well, Chris, and Ryan as well. Before we talk about Mark Adams, because I want to end the podcast on a positive note, let's talk about the other elephant in the room, and it's quite a bad fallout right now with players leaving. Mac Mcclung declaring for the NBA draft with also entering the transfer portal. So even if he doesn't go to the NBA, he's gone. Shannon to the NBA draft, didn't hire an agent, so he could possibly come back. Highly unlikely, in my opinion.
He'll get drafted.
Peavy's gone. Burton's gone. Tyreek's gone as of today. Golden's gone. Edwards is gone. Our team right now is Clarence Nadolny, Chibuzo Agbo Jr., Avery Benson, Santos Silva, and Kevin McCullough. That's it. 5 people. And here's the thing that people were worried about Adams. It's like they wondered if he had the demeanor and the charisma to be able to recruit. I think he does because you've seen him recruit at the highest level at JUCO days. You saw him bringing people from New York City to Big Spring, Texas, and winning a national championship. So he can recruit, but the problem is he does not have time to wet his feet in D1
No.
recruiting.
Yeah.
It is quite literally, our roster is on fire right now, and he's
Yeah.
got to make moves quick.
Yeah. And the other thing I want to talk about Mark Adams and recruiting is just to see the overwhelming support from former players about him really makes me believe that his connection with the players is huge. And I think he does a fantastic job. I mean, to see all the former players, Matt Mooney saying, like, that's the reason he came to Tech. You said Chris Beard played a part, but he connected with Coach Adams so much. Lawrence Odiase, I mean, he's so active on Twitter talking about Mark Adams, how he's the one. So I'm not really worried about Mark Adams in recruiting. I'm just worried at this moment because like you said, the roster is on fire, and
now we have always.
It's just not going to be like we're going to head into next year perfectly fine. The next year is going to be most likely brutal.
Yeah,
I don't even know who's going to play, man.
It's a critical juncture because we can afford a down year. We can't afford a catastrophic dumpster fire. Like, I understand that we're more than likely not competing for a Big 12 title next year, but at the same time, I don't want to see us go winless in the Big 12. That's going to be very hard to recover from.
Yeah.
But let's talk about Mark Adams for a second. We have historically sung the praises of Mark Adams in this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
We know that he's the brains behind the no middle defense.
Mm-hmm.
We know he can coach, right? We've said in the podcast that Mark Adams is every bit as important as Chris Beard.
100%.
We've said that. So this is no news to us that Adams is the guy, okay? But as they're going through the coaching search, I was pulling for Adams. I know others were as well. And here's why. It starts with his IQ for basketball. I know it's different being a head coach in D1 than it is D2 and JUCO, but he's competed at those levels and he's won the championships at those levels, right? So we know that he can do it. This is just a different caliber of talent. So a big thing is, can he bring that caliber to Lubbock? On a personal side, I went to high school with Mark's son Luke and his daughter Abby. My mom's good friends with his wife Jennifer. I've known the Adams family for a long time. I don't know Mark well personally, but I've met him. I know him. And the thing I love about Mark is that he is Texas Tech. He's 100% in Texas Tech. And many would have said that about Beard too, but I mean, Adams does not have any other connections. It's like Texas Tech is it. Mm-hmm. And to tell one of probably the hottest coach in the nation to pound sand when he's asking you to come with him and basically giving him the finger and saying, I don't agree with what you're doing, I'm staying right here. That takes some guts, and that
speaks volumes too.
That move in itself,
because he wasn't even like, he didn't think he was going to get the job. You know, he was surprised when Kirby offered it to him.
Right.
So that just shows loyalty to the program.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic. I mean, we thought we had that.
Right. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see, Chris. I mean, like I said,
I don't know what's going to happen, man. We just need to build her. I just want to see someone land. I want to see that Texas Tech has gotten somebody.
Same.
You know?
Same. He's starting to build his staff. Sean Sutton stayed on. He brought in the coach from Portland State. I don't remember his name. But he runs a fast, high-powered offense.
Yeah, I've seen them play a few times. Their tempo is usually within the top 50 of national tempo. I think he was like number 7 tempo a few years ago. That team's never been good, but a high-paced offense.
Yeah. Well, and when it comes down to talking about Adams, here's the reality. He was thrust into a terrible situation. Obviously, no one in their right mind could blame him if things don't go great next year. But I think that he has the charisma and coaching ability to maybe get us out of this hole. If there was somebody to dig us out of the worst case scenario possible,
It's him. Yeah.
I'm glad it's Adams.
Me too. Me too. It's a hole that, 2 months ago or a month ago, we didn't think we were going to have at all. We thought this thing was just going to keep going. But Tech still has clout, man. I mean, it's not like we're some rinky-dink program. I mean, Tech's still a huge name in college basketball, has the best facilities. I keep hearing that over and over again. Yeah. Greatest facilities in all of college basketball. And if Mark Adams, and I think you'll see the crowd support stay next year for sure. I think the crowd support next year is going to be huge. He's got the keys to a Ferrari. It just we need some players.
Yeah.
They get it going.
The college transfer rules is frustrating, no question. However, in a situation like this, when our players are leaving, it does help us the fact that there are thousands, literally thousands of transfers in the market that we can go get. So, and to your point, I mean, obviously the biggest draw as a player is the ability to win. Like, you want to come and play for a coach who can win. But aside from that, too, you're right. We have arguably the best facilities in the Big 12, certainly top 2, top 10 facilities in the nation. That Womble, even though Beard was a major part of having that thing done, it's gonna bode well for us in the future. Should it be a rebuild,
Yeah.
It's gonna help getting players there. But I'm with you. It's like it's the same thing with the Beard thing. The longer it goes on without any update, the more and more nervous I get.
Yeah.
So it's like it's been a week. It's like, man, just give me one player. Let me see one thing on Facebook that says, boom, commit.
This is going to be a crazy roster, bro.
Yeah.
This is going to be a crazy roster. Beard took the one commit that we had with Jalen, right? I mean, he's gone. We got nobody. We have 4 players.
So, well, we got 5. Of the 5.
I can't believe Benson is staying as well.
Right. He's followed Beard everywhere.
I would like to get Benson on the podcast just to hear his thoughts on everything.
It makes you think that maybe Benson didn't agree with what Beard did, because Benson has followed Beard everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere. I believe he was at San Angelo State and then went to Little Rock and then to Tech. So he's followed him everywhere.
Yeah.
So I think that speaks volumes too. Of the 5 players that we currently have, Chris, Nadolny, McCullough, Benson, Silva, and who am I missing? Agbo. Do you see any of those potentially transferring out as well? Because we can't afford any more.
I could see either Nadolny or Agbo leaving.
Okay.
Maybe McCullough. I don't know.
I hope not, man. McCullough is the guy that you build this team around.
Yeah. McCullough, though, is very good. So it depends if McCullough wants to be on a championship team next year or not, if he wants to stick around. I mean, he's very, very good. He could play for any team. So,
I would like to say that his social media post about I'm not going anywhere and Texas Tech is home bodes well, but we saw the same thing from Kyler.
With Kyler. Yeah. I think Kyler's going to go to Texas.
Do you?
Yeah.
Do you think Matt goes to Texas if he doesn't go to the NBA?
Oh, God. Maybe.
Beard was really, really high on Reek. I'm worried that Tyreek's going to go to Texas.
Tyreek might go to Texas too, man.
Yeah.
It's going to suck next year. God.
But, again, keep in perspective that a lot of D1 teams are facing the same thing. Texas is having a lot of transfers out right now, too, believe it or not. Not nearly as many as we are. I think I read somewhere today that TCU is having 8 or 9 transfers out. So
I saw a comment.
It's happening everywhere.
I saw a comment with on Instagram. I can't remember who posted it, talking about who we had left, and then the TCU fan page was like "Welcome to our boat." I mean, it's just like the transfer rules are pretty gnarly that you can just get up and leave.
Yeah.
Which can break a program like we're seeing right now. So.
Yep. Well.
Also make a program because we've gotten some amazing transfers. So.
Yeah. I
It's
believe
tough.
in Adams. I believe in Kirby. I believe in those 5 guys that are staying. I hope that they do stay. But there's no question. It's crunch time. You
It's crunch time, bro.
can't wait. You got to go get these players. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm with you. I want to see some progress. So
Same. Well, I think that's all I have.
that's all I got, Chris.
Yeah.
I'm Evan.
I'm Chris.
And this has been the Raider Power Podcast. Guns up.
Guns up.